Hey students, welcome to another Mr. Ness screencast. Today's aim is problems with pop culture, and here are your objectives. Please pause the video, look these questions over, and get ready to copy some vocab terms and take some notes. In this video, you're going to learn about some common issues or problems that the diffusion of pop culture creates. And your first term is one that you've already learned, and that is incredibly important to the spread of pop culture, and that's globalization, increased connectivity across borders. In the last video, you learned that pop culture is created to be sold, and that pop culture often originates in specific hearths called nodes of innovation, like Hollywood. And globalization allows the creators of pop culture to reach a broader market of people to sell goods to. Technologies that promote globalization, like the internet, are used to diffuse pop culture from its hearth to countries all around the world. So globalization and the diffusion of pop culture go hand in hand. The next two terms are closely related. The first one is cultural convergence, which is the process by which two different cultures begin to become similar to one another through interaction. Placelessness, also called uniform landscape, is a similarity of cultural traits. And that means that wherever you go, cultural traits and the landscape in general look the same. In other words, there's no longer anything unique about a place. It could be anywhere. If cultural convergence is a cause, placelessness is an effect. As cultures become more like one another, cultural convergence, their traits begin to resemble each other, and we get placelessness. Take a look at this picture of the side of a highway. My guess is that the picture was taken in the US because I see signs in English, but where in the US is impossible to say because there are so many places now that look just like this. This is Anywhere USA. Your next term is transnational corporation, a business that has operations in many countries. These are large businesses that dominate the production and diffusion of pop culture. This image shows transnational corporations that are involved with food production. If you look closely, I bet you will see many names that you recognize. There's thousands of transnational corporations, but a few of them that we're going to talk about more in this unit are Starbucks, McDonald's, and Facebook. Each of these companies is headquartered in the US, but it has stores or offices in many countries around the world. All right, so why do transnational corporations and by extension pop culture create placelessness? The main reason is that pop culture is created to make money. And the business people in charge of transnational corporations have realized that consumers are more likely to buy products when they are familiar with them. Consumers like knowing what to expect when they go into a store or restaurant. So these transnational corporations strive for standardization, meaning that they sell the same exact products in almost every location. Here is a picture of a McDonald's. Can you guess what country it's in? Of course you can, because all McDonald's look exactly the same and they sell more or less the same products. This McDonald's is in South Africa. But how could you have known that? And here is a Starbucks in which country? Well, this one is in the Philippines, but it looks just like every Starbucks that you see in the US, even though it's in another country thousands of miles away. All right, now let's go back to placelessness. Why is this a problem? Why am I calling this a problem of pop culture? One reason is that it is a little boring. Everything starts to look the same, so places lose their character. And part of the fun of traveling to new places is seeing new things. But if everything looked the same everywhere, why bother traveling? All right, so that's a minor problem, but now let's look at a bigger issue, a more serious problem with pop culture, and that is known as cultural imperialism. And this is when the culture of a more powerful country starts to replace the culture of a less powerful country. I just said a moment ago that pop culture creates placelessness, where cultures start to have similar traits all over the world. The real problem with placelessness is not that the traits are the same everywhere, but that they are originating in a handful of wealthy, powerful countries. And as those powerful countries' pop culture spreads around the world, including to poorer countries, its culture replaces the local cultures that have existed for hundreds or even thousands of years. All right, let's look at this picture of a McDonald's in Mexico. Let's see if I can move my face out of the way. There we go. So as more people eat at McDonald's in a place like Mexico, they stop eating more traditional local foods like mole, which was one of them that you learned about. And eventually, knowledge of how to make these traditional foods is forgotten and they vanish. So McDonald's, which is a form of pop culture from America, has replaced a heritage, a culinary heritage of Mexico. And this isn't just happening in Mexico, and it's not just happening with food. All kinds of pop culture promoted by transnational corporations that are often based in the US have been replacing local cultures of poorer countries all over the world. And sadly, once a local culture is gone, it's very hard to revive. So, culture can be seen as a form of power where powerful countries impose their culture on weaker ones, leading to those weaker countries' culture to disappear. All right, the last problem with pop culture is that it has many negative effects on the environment. Unlike local cultures, which are created with local materials and are used by people near the hearth, pop culture is global. The marketing and distribution of pop cultural traits all over the world requires massive amounts of fossil fuels to extract resources and ship goods, leading to pollution, global warming, and a lot of waste. Do you have an iPhone? It was manufactured in China, and then it was shipped across the ocean on a container ship, and then it was put on a truck and driven to the iStore or Apple Store. And it probably came in a plastic box, which you then threw away. And all of this is really bad for the environment. All right, it's time to review the objectives. If you don't know the answer to any of them, rewind the video and look again. I will see you in class. Bye, students.